Welcome back. So those are the stories we've been tracking for you across the politics. So let's get to the very conversation for the day. And that has to do with Edo politics. We're being joined in the program by the governorship candidate of the PDP in the forthcoming elections in September, Mr. Aswe Ighodalo. He joins us from Benin City, the Edo State capital. Mr. Ighodalo, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me, Jeffrey. How are you? It's been a while.
I'm pretty well. I'm sure you must be smiling now because perhaps amongst the candidates that we've been following, your case appears to be one of the most litigated, and sometimes we're even losing track of which case is which one and all that. So maybe your first reaction as to how you see this particular judgment from the Court of Appeal in your favor.
The Court of Appeal, I think, I believe it's done a fantastic job staying on the legal and factual issues. And it's affirmed our candidacy. There were 5 appeals heard today, and we won all the 5 appeals. But about being happy, I'm not quite sure that it's happy. I'll say that I'm relieved in that the distraction goes away, and we can fully focus on continuing our campaign without the distraction. I'd rather that all my colleagues who have taken out this action come back and join hands together with me for us to drive every way to win this election. That's what I prefer. So it's not about being happy. I think it's the distraction, the relief of taking away that distraction. Yes, I have that. But I'd be truly happy if all of my colleagues that's gone to court at this stage come back together to the party. I've always been an advocate of all of us coming together to work for the betterment of the party. And I believe that's the party that can deliver the good things of life and remove the suffering of our people. And if we all join hands together, and we work together for that party, it'll even be a greater party, because all of the aspirants that have gone to court, particularly, they're all good people in their own right. And so I would hate to see them leave the party and hate to see them not participate with us in winning this election. So, yeah, I won't call it happy. I'll call it relieved. I'll be happy when my colleagues come back into the party fully and join us in getting ready for this election over the next 26 days.
Now you're technically going to be a strong party man, because some have said, oh, Aswe Ighodalo is a political neophyte, is a boardroom guru, and now you are getting some of the heat that comes within this space they call politics. So there are a few things I want to get your thought on, which is, I remember Al Gore, the former vice president, had said that, look, he agrees, he accepts, doesn't mean he agrees with the outcome of a particular election result. That was what he said. Now, I'm saying that to say that one of the things we've found out when it comes to election and adjudication such as this, the court consistently says it's a party matter. Now that you are now a politician, as it were, are you worried that things like this could actually create a lacuna for those with the right war chest to begin to control what happens in a party at the end of the day, possibly disenfranchising those who wanted a part of it without necessarily speaking against what the Court of Appeal has said?
No. Again, like the court said, a party is a club. You go in there voluntarily, and it has its rules. And if you abide by the rules of the party, then there won't be a problem. If you don't abide by the rules, then the law also gives you the ability to seek redress. If you read the judgments properly, most of them, I've received a summary from the lawyers. The issue really is, the rules said you need to exhaust certain internal party mechanisms for redress. So I don't think so. I think that, yes, that those who fear that people who have this large war chest can influence unduly. But in a state like Edo State, honestly, our people are truly enlightened. People are politically sophisticated. Historically, it's never the big war chests that win elections in Edo State. So even if people dominated their parties through that process and they didn't have a tangible message to sell to the people of the state, then they won't go very far. But direct answer to your question, no. I don't think it's the war chest. Many people in the parties also understand the process and the rules, and truly want good for their party, and they want the best candidate for their party. So it's not necessarily the person that has that big war chest. And I think things are changing, things are improving, and we'll see a lot more improvement over time.
All right, Mr. Ighodalo, we're going to explore things that has to do with your program or your manifesto, as it were. But I want to get the politics out of the way. We can hazard a bit of what they call in mathematics, some level of extrapolation, given the history we've seen. We've seen the Governor Godwin Obaseki fall out with former Governor Adams Oshomole. We've also seen Governor Godwin Obaseki fall out with Nyesom Wike. I mean Governor Obaseki and Philip Shaibu. And now we've seen Philip Shaibu falling out with Governor Godwin Obaseki. That's why I use the word extrapolation. We don't know what will happen between you and him. But are you going to be a man of your own if you win this election and get into office? And how do you intend to navigate this political space that can become a real distraction? Look at what is going on in River State, for instance.
Thank you very much. Yes, definitely. The answer to that question, direct answer, is that definitely I'll be a man of my own. I've been a man of my own since I was 18 years old. I was brought up by my parents to take my own decisions by myself. And I've gone through life having done a number of things. And yes, my answer is I've always been a man of my own. I will always be a man of my own. That does not mean I will not take advice from other people who've gone through similar experiences. It's important that I say that, because it's only a person that's a bit foolish that will go through certain endeavors and certain work types without taking advice. Through my life, I've had mentors. I've had great mentors as I was growing up in my profession, as I was doing whichever of the things I did, either as a lawyer, either as a business person, in the boardroom. I've always sought the advice of people that I looked up to, or I valued, or I looked at their capacity and their performances. So I will do so all the same. Even in my political career so far, I've conferred with different people across the country. I've conferred definitely with the political leaders in the state, across all parties, many in the PDP, some in other parties in the state. I've talked to some of my friends who were governors years ago, who worked in the presidency years ago. I've talked to people who have been presidents and vice presidents. So I'll always seek advice so that I can avoid the mistakes that many made. It's important. But definitely, of course, I've been my own man since I was 18, and nothing's going to change. Not because I'm governor or anything else that I am. And I'll pray to God for guidance. My family will be around me, and they'll make sure that I stay on the straight and narrow. Definitely, my wife wouldn't spare me. Neither would my daughter or my brother or my sister. So yeah, I'm my own man. I've always been. I've headed companies, multinationals. I built my own law firm. So it's just going to be another day in the office. But I will take good advice from anybody that can give me good advice and can help me execute my work much better.
All right, Mr. Ighodalo, let's move on now. So let me piggyback on a few things. I know I used to watch some epics, and they said the promiscuity of the Roman mob. But our situation is not that. Ours is the multi-shades of expectation of the people. So if I ask you a straight question, do you really understand the language of the Edo people? I'm not saying literal language. And what are you telling them as a candidate that, look, I understand what you're saying, and I can fix this?
Let me put it differently for you slightly. I understand what you're feeling. I understand what you're saying. I understand what's happening to you. Yes, I do. I've been around the whole state, 192 wards, the 18 local governments. I've been around the state. I've been around the state nearly 1.5 times now because of the protests. I haven't completed the second round. And I talk to the people. I talk to high and low. I'm in the markets. I'm in the farms. I'm in the villages. I'm in the big cities. I'm in the malls. I'm in people's houses. I knock on people's doors at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. I feel the people. I feel their pain. I feel the lack. I feel the disconsolance that a lot of them feel and the pain they feel. Many don't have food. I was talking to a woman in Auchi Market some time ago. She told me that if she eats on Tuesday, then it's probably Thursday before her next full meal, because she has to make sure her kids can go to school. You know, I went to see the victims of the Jatu Market tree. About 4 big trees fell around the Jatu Market a few months ago, killing a number of women and children in the market, many going into hospital. I went around every hospital to see all of the patients that were alive, you know, and I could feel the pain. Many of them couldn't even pay for their medical services, you know. So people can't pay for food, people can't pay for medical services, people can't pay for their kids to go to school, people can't get their goods into the market, people can't even get their goods processed, you know, people can't farm again because they're afraid of going too far away from their homestead to farm. So I feel the people, I feel the pain of the people, I feel the suffering of the people. And part of why I'm in this is to ensure that I work hard to ameliorate the suffering and the pain of the people of Edo State. You know, that's why I'm here. You know, and I hope that I will give it everything I have. Working together with my deputy Osarodion, we will focus on ensuring that we brighten the faces of the people of Edo State. We improve the lives of the people of Edo State. We improve Edo State. We make Edo State a good and secure place to live and to work and to play and to go to school. You know, so yes, I feel the Edo State people. I understand their pain, and I hear them.
All right, Mr. Ighodalo, I know you are credited to saying, I'm going to read it, the people are truly suffering and the people can't eat. There's a lot not going right at the moment. That sounds like an indictment on the leadership of Godwin Obaseki. Is that what you were trying to say, or you were trying to say something different?
Jeffrey, no, that's not what I was saying.
So what were you saying?
If you look at the sources of the kind of intense suffering that we're feeling in Nigeria, you'll trace it back to certain policies that were not well thought through, or that went awry. So early last year, 2023, there was this currency change policy. And, you know, it pauperized Nigerians, pauperized nearly every Nigerian. And we haven't recovered from that. Those who earn daily labor, those who had little cash in the bank, even those who had big cash in the bank, you know, so it pauperized Nigerians. And then look at the collapse of our currency. Look at the removal of the fuel subsidy. Look at insecurity nationally. You know, those are the issues that have caused the pain, that have trickled down to the people in every nook and cranny of Nigeria. And these things have to be reversed. All we're saying is that in Edo State, we will cocoon ourselves and we will reverse this in our state and improve the lives of our people. And we're hoping that when we do this, we'll be able, by peer pressure or peer lift or peer push, help other states in this direction. You know, so that's what we're concerned about now, because we cannot continue falling into the problems we fall into because of other people's ill-thought policies. And so we need to cocoon ourselves. And that's my philosophy for Edo State. So that's what I meant, you know. And by God's grace, we'll do it. We're the popular candidate at the polls. And if we continue at the rate we're going, and there's no reason why we won't, in the next 26 days, we're going to work even harder than we've worked in the last few months. We will win the elections, and we will then be able to effect and implement these policies that we have in place to cocoon our state, to create this oasis regardless of what's happening around us. And it's doable. It's happened in other federal structured countries before, and we can do it, and we will do it. You know, we have the capability, we have the resources, we have the human resources, mineral resources, we have the soil types, we have where we're strategically located in Nigeria. People say we're the heartbeat. We're not just the heartbeat. We're strategically located as a logistics center in the country. So we'll roll up our sleeves and we'll work really hard. You know, we have potentialities for tourism. Even if you just look at our people in the diaspora, those in the diaspora, you know, if they come home twice on holiday, just twice on holiday, and each time they come home, they spend $2,000 in Edo State, that reflects the economy automatically. And so we have a lot of potentiality in the state, which we will use to cocoon ourselves, improve our lives, and then break through and help any others that want to participate in the goodness and prosperity that we'll create. So that's what I was saying.
All right, Mr. Ighodalo, before we get to the election day proper ahead of that, I've taken a look at your manifesto. I don't know whether this is a restructured one or the main one or the previous one, but there's a lot of people you're trying to reach as much as you can, well articulated, but the question about how at the end of the day. And one of the things we can almost tell you for free is that when you're looking from outside in, it looks easy, but inside out, maybe a different kettle of fish. But I think you've captured it in 5 pillars. Tell us why you prioritize what you prioritize as your pillars ahead of this election, and whether the Edo people are buying in. Because this is what we found out sometimes. People come with great ideas, but that's not what the people need. The people may need water. You want to build them roads. The people may need electricity. You want to give them water. That's exactly my question. How did you come to prioritize? Maybe the first 2, and then we'll go to other issues.
Yeah, Jeffrey, thank you. Before we sat down to start crafting our manifesto, we'd gone around the state. That's why my manifesto came maybe about 1.5, 2 months ago. We'd gone around the state, we talked to people, we'd seen people's pain points, we'd seen what the issues were. So we didn't just sit down in a room and bring a few people to come and work with me to craft the manifesto. No, we went around, we took notes, we talked to people in the markets, I told you, went to the villages, we looked around the state, we saw the problem points, no water in some places, no road in some places, or bad roads in some places. For instance, you go there, you see they have a lot of pineapples, but the pineapples can't get to the markets. Even those pineapples that get to the markets rot very quickly. We saw the problem points, and then we went back and sat through many weeks of thinking, okay, how do we resolve the issues in Edo State? How do we ensure that we move Edo State from where it is into the first world as quickly as possible? So it's not what we want to give the people. It's what we know that the people want us to give them. They want to be well governed. They want to remove the suffering from the people. And so that's the key. People want to be able to afford 3 square meals a day. People want to have a secure environment. People want to live a good life. So we took back, and then we started working forward. And that's how we crafted the manifesto that we've presented. 5 pillars. We discovered that what was most important to people was security. And that's how we came about security as our number 1 pillar, if you look at it. So people wanted to be safe. People were worried they couldn't step out. And it's a perception, because luckily in the last few years, I have seen Edo State has become much safer through the work of the current government. But still, there's still those gaps. And we haven't kind of wiped away all the perception. So people want to be safe. People don't want to be looking over their shoulders every time. People still complain that they're not quite sure that they can go to the farms far away from the homestead. So, and even if you look at the issue of tourism, and some of our guys in the diaspora not coming home as often as they did, it had to do with them having this perception that they may not be as safe as they would like to be. So that was the number 1 thing. Number 2 thing was people's well-being. People wanted to have money in their pockets. People wanted to be able to live well, eat well, go to good schools. Their kids go to good schools. Their kids receive first-class education. People wanted to be sure that if they fell ill, they could go into hospital and get good treatment in good time. Those were people's concerns. People wanted to know that if they went to school and they did well, they could come out and they would get jobs. So people's well-being was important to us.
Mr. Ighodalo, if I may butt in, my apologies. If I may butt in for a moment, there's hardly anything you will reel out that perhaps others have not said. So this is my straight question, because you look like a very audacious gentleman. So I'll give you an opportunity to answer audaciously, which is, if you talk about security, I'm sure Godwin Obaseki, the governor of the state, had this as a big plan. And he had come a few days ago to say there has been some improvement. But he had also come to say, look, cultism and all of that has been a problem. So my question to you is, he had security as a priority, perhaps. You have security as a priority. He has missed out on something. He didn't do something right. What are you going to do differently that will come back to say, Edo is the safest state to live in say 4 years? If you
I think he's done a lot right, because I've seen the massive improvements in security in the state. And I've had the opportunity to see some of the security apparatus that they have. But let me answer you directly, and that's simply this. We're going to do everything possible to raise technological capability, to raise training capability, and to raise equipment capability to ensure that our state is secure. We have it divided: immediate term, short term, medium term, and long term. In the long term, which many of us hadn't thought through before, we have to go back to family values. Some of the things that happen, that some of the people that have caused the lack of security environment, what some of the things they do. If you come from a good home, you're well brought up, you'd never do things like that. So we look at this immediate term, short term, medium term, long term. Improve security, improve training, look at world-class technology. In 2024, there are things that shouldn't happen, that you should not be able to immediately cotton on to. Never. Look at first-class equipment, drones, heat-seeking drones, different kinds of technology. Be able to have cameras in as many places as possible, have the situation rooms, have quick reaction time, have the right vehicles, even if it's necessary, and helicopter patrols. It's done. It's been done. There was a time when I think it was Cross River State in Nigeria. It was truly a safe state. And if you go out of Nigeria to different countries, you find many truly safe states. There are states where the level of crime is nearly not more than 5%. So we can get Edo State to that level. Right. We know all the entry points into the state, or 5 or 6 entry points into the state, and we cover those entry points. And we also ensure that if anything happens, we have the capabilities to identify what happened, where it happened, when it happened, and we trace.
All right, so let's get to what is, maybe perhaps we'll come to some of the things, including fiscal performance and fiscal policies, if we have the time. But let's talk about that election. One of the feelers we got initially was other parties complaining that members of your party were demolishing their posters and all of that billboard. But now the PDP is complaining and saying that, look, it appears that this election is not going to be against the APC or the Labour Party or other parties. It's also going to be against the Nigerian police. What exactly is going on? What are you experiencing that is a bit of a worry for you as a political party? And what is the government saying?
Thank you very much, Geoffrey. But very quickly, as regards the billboards, we had many more billboards destroyed. We just didn't complain. We just got along with it. We went back and we fixed our billboards. But what we're truly complaining about today is the level of intimidation against the People's Democratic Party that we see. We wake up some mornings and we just see policemen that we know nothing about. They enter into houses of our supporters, they pick them up and they whisk them away. We then find out later that they've been taken to Abuja, and we don't know exactly what's going on. On the 18th of July, every Nigerian saw what happened in Benin City on TV. People were gun-wielding thugs were running amok all over Edo State. And we saw them on TV. We knew who they were. We saw their faces. We saw those who were carrying AK-47s. But then what happened? Next few days, the police were running after members of our party, arresting members of our party, intimidating members of our party. So we have a situation where the thugs of one party are trying to intimidate us. We have a situation where the police force appears to be siding with those who are trying to intimidate us. And so there's a problem. There's a problem that we feel very particular about. We feel very worried. What we're relying on is the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has promised a free and fair election, and we believe him. But what we're seeing today is causing us grievous alarm, and we're beginning to get seriously worried that we're going into this election with at least one hand tied behind our back, and with the field not being level, with the field being totally unlevel. And we worry very much about that. We've had one of our guys, Kingsley Osam, he's been arrested. They whisked him away from his house in Nairobi, a councillor. Nobody has said anything about it. Nobody has charged him to court. Nobody has done anything. We just know he's been arrested in Abuja and he's been taken to Abuja, and a few of our guys too. And the intimidation is much. So what we require is that, everybody goes by the rules. The security agencies should please be neutral so as to ensure that we all feel safe and secure in this environment. And we want all our supporters to come out to vote on election day, because the president has assured all of us that he'll create a level playing field and we'll all be secure. So we'll hold the word.
All right, absolutely. Mr. Ighodalo, before I let you go, so we've been seeing APC doing big campaigns and all of that. Are we expecting your campaigns to come out soon? I mean, the mega ones? I know you've walked around.
Yeah, we started campaigning way before anybody started campaigning. And we've campaigned, and we actually just kind of slowed down our campaigning when the protests, so as to observe with the protesters and respect the protesters' views. So yes, we will in the next few days go back to big campaigns. In the interim, we've been campaigning quietly. Right. It's not every structure of campaign that has to be a big, massive campaign like the type you've been seeing on TV in the last few days, where people come on the podium and don't say actual truths, and don't say what they'll do for the people, but just keep throwing jabs at other people and not really talking about the suffering and the problems of the people and how they will solve those problems genuinely, But we'll go back to campaigning, and when we start campaigning, you'll see the difference, because we'll come and talk about the problems of our people, how we intend to solve the problems of our people, and how we intend to make life better for our people. And we won't talk about people. We won't talk about characters that, frankly.
Okay. Mr. Ighodalo, absolutely. This is, we still have about 20-something more days to the election. So we're going to be pulling in, and that time we'll be talking in details, because everybody has the I will, the how. We're going to look at fiscal responsibility, fiscal performance, and all of that, and how you will navigate.
I actually came to talk to you this evening, Jeffrey, thinking we'll talk about how, because
you've spoken on a couple of them.
Our manifesto just refers to the how. For everything we've put in the manifesto, the how is right beside it. So I'll do my guess. I'm happy to come back at another time, and I'll talk. The other thing I want to say, Geoffrey, is this. Can you please ask all of the other candidates to come and tell you what they want to do for the people of Edo State and how they will achieve it?
Okay, maybe I'll cut
take them through the same kind of drill you're taking me through, and don't cut them slack. Do it fairly, Okay. Once you do that, I'm fine. So I'm ready to come back at any time, and I'll tell you the how. And you'll see how the problem and get to where we say we're going to get to. So, when we're all applying for this job, I think we should all be interrogated accordingly, fairly, equally, squarely.
Not its problem at all. We've extended our invitation. We hope they will oblige. And the reason why we had to go through a couple of things, not just your manifesto, is because it's politics and governance, and we must aggregate all of them, because it's a different game, a ball game altogether. But we must thank you for coming through.
The issue of fiscal. Sorry, let me just cut you very quickly. The issue of fiscal that you were talking about. I just wanted to say something. Yes. You were talking about governance. If you're not running a first-class government that's transparent, that's accountable, and that's well run, then your fiscals are going to be skewed. Okay.
Well, we're going to hold you to that if you win the election. But we wish you the very best, and all of you who are contesting the very best. Mr. Ighodalo, governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the forthcoming September governorship elections in Edo State.
Thank you, sir. Have a good evening. Thanks. See you again soon.